Hey everyone, and welcome back to Unique Coins Value. Ever been going through an old jar of coins, maybe from a relative, or even just sorting through some rolls from the bank, and you pull out one of these? The Kennedy $50. It's a beautiful coin, steeped in history, minted to honor a fallen president. And today, we're tackling a question I get all the time: what is my regular, circulated 1974 Kennedy $50 actually worth? Is it a hidden treasure, or is it just 50 cents? We're going to dive deep, look at the different mint marks, talk about condition, and bust some myths. So, let's get started. First, we need to understand the why before we get to the what. The 1974 Kennedy $50 was born in an era of major change for U.S. coinage. The U.S. Mint was producing hundreds of millions of these things. In 1974 alone, they minted over 200 million $50 just for circulation. B-roll footage of a giant coin press stamping out coins. Then, a graphic pops up showing the massive mintage numbers: 1974, Philadelphia, no mint mark ** 201,596,000 1974, D, Denver ** 79,066,300. Let that sink in. Over 280 million coins. That's a huge number. And because the $50 had largely fallen out of everyday use by the 1970s, vending machines didn't take them, people found them bulky. A massive amount of these coins just sat in bank vaults or were stored away and never entered circulation. This massive supply is the single biggest factor driving the value, or lack thereof, for a typical circulated 1974 $50. Okay, let's break it down by mint mark. For any new collectors, the mint mark tells you where the coin was made. You'll find it on the obverse, the front of the coin, right below Kennedy's neck. This is the most common of the common. With over 200 million made, finding one is not a challenge. A worn, circulated 1974 $50 is worth exactly 50 cents. You might be able to sell it to another collector for $1 if they need one for their album, but honestly, these are so plentiful that most collectors already have one. The 1974 D from Denver is actually a bit more interesting. While still extremely common, its mintage is less than half of the Philadelphia coin. But less common here is a relative term. 79 million is still a huge number. In circulated condition, its value is essentially the same, 50 cents to $1. It might be slightly more desired by collectors completing a set, but we're talking pennies of difference, not dollars. Now, this one is the trickster. The 1974 S was not minted for circulation. All 1974 S halves were struck in San Francisco and sold directly to collectors in special mint sets. These coins were not meant to be spent. They have a beautiful, proof-like uncirculated surface, mirror-like fields and frosted devices. So, if you have a 1974 S that looks like it's been in circulation, scratched, dull, worn, it almost certainly wasn't meant to be. Someone spent a collectible coin. Its value is still based on its silver-free melt value, so about 50 cents, but it's a bit of a tragedy for a collector to see a proof coin in that state. A simple graphic chart appears showing a row of coins from cull/badly worn on the left to extremely fine on the right, with arrows pointing to value ranges, 50 cents to $2. Cull coin, heavily damaged, cleaned, or harshly worn, is worth face value 50 cents. A coin with wear on Kennedy's hair and cheek, but all details are clear. A coin in very good to fine condition. You can see all the details, but it's clearly been used. Might fetch 75 cents to $1 from a collector. Now, if you have one that's in about uncirculated condition, it looks almost new, with maybe just a hint of wear on the highest points. That's where we start to see a small premium. You could get $2 to $5 for it, because it's a great-looking example of a common coin. But for the vast majority of 1,974 halves you find in the wild, they're going to fall into that first category, well-worn and worth face valued. The big question: is it silver? And the answer for the 1974 Kennedy $50 is no. And this is a crucial point: a split screen. On one side, a 1964 Kennedy half. On the other, a 1974. A graphic highlights their compositions: 90% silver versus CUNI nickel-clad. Kennedy halves from 1964 are 90% silver. Those from 1965 to 1970 are 40% silver. But starting in 1971, the composition was changed to a copper nickel-clad format, the same as our quarters and dimes today. So, a 1974 half has no precious metal content. Its melt value is just the value of the base metals, which is less than 50 cents. Its value is purely numismatic, based on collectability, not metal, so let's address the elephant in the room. You might have seen videos or websites talking about 1974 Kennedy halves selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Are they lying? Not necessarily. But they are almost certainly talking about error coins. The regular 1974 half is not worth that. However, there are rare, misstruck examples that can be incredibly valuable. A double die obverse coin, where the lettering app look for things like a strong doubling of the date and lettering, that's a double die error. Or a coin that was struck off-center. These are exceptionally rare, worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, and need to be authenticated by a service like PCGS or NGC. But for every one of those, there are millions of perfectly normal coins, so let's recap. Your typical, circulated 1974 or 1974 D. Kennedy half dollar is a very common coin. It's a piece of history, and it's cool to find, but its value is primarily face value, 50 cents to $1. Its value comes from filling a spot in an album, not from any rarity or silver content. The 1974 S is a collectible proof coin, and if you find one that's been circulated, it's a curiosity but not a bank breaker, so should you still pick them up? Absolutely. I do. They're a great, low-cost way to start a collection, teach kids about history and coinage, or just save for a rainy day. Just don't quit your job hoping to cash in on a jar of 1974 halves. The camera pulls back slightly. A subscribe animation and a like button graphic pop up on the screen. I hope this deep dive was helpful and cleared up the mystery of the 1974 Kennedy half. If it did, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button and bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of coins. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you have a jar of half dollars sitting around? Have you ever found a genuine error coin? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting!